Hello, hello, friends. Welcome to Matt Chat, and I have no idea what episode we are on. Isn't that funny, friends? I'm going to invite some friends on to watch this evening. And it's funny, I usually check what episode we're on before we get going, and I have no idea what episode we're on tonight. I didn't check. I was just so excited to get on and speak with you all. We're just going to invite a few friends on here before we get started. Lots of friends are online tonight, and we will invite them all on. All right, friends, welcome to, hi Tim, how are you tonight? Thanks for joining. Welcome to Mad Chat, friends, and we are somewhere in the 30s. I can't remember exactly what episode we're on, but tonight we're going to be talking about emotions and our reactions. Hi Michael, hope you're well tonight. Thanks for watching. Michael says hi. We're going to be talking about reactions and emotions tonight, and I'm going to give you a real world example, friends. Look at that, I forgot to take my glasses off too. I'm going to give you a real world example, friends. So oftentimes we'll be having a discussion with someone, and we'll have a reaction. Well, and it's an emotional reaction, but we'll have a reaction, and we'll react in a way, and we'll say something to that person. And sometimes it's not, it doesn't sit well with us. It doesn't feel right. You may start to feel heated and not be sure why, and not really know why you have that reaction. And sometimes it ends up in a fight. Sometimes it ends up in a bad way. Sometimes it ends up putting us in a negative mindset and in a negative place. And what we need to do is step back from that. Step back and realize that there's always an emotion. And most times that emotion is a reflection of us. So if we're sitting in judgment of someone, that judgment that we have of someone will be a reflection of us. What are we judging inside ourselves, or what are we feeling inside ourselves? So I'll tell you, this just happened to me, and this is why it's on my mind to talk about tonight. It just happened to me this week. I was having a discussion with someone, and I really knew where I wanted to go with that discussion. I knew what I wanted to say. I knew what I wanted to express. And I found myself becoming frustrated, and found myself almost angry, not quite angry, but frustrated and heated and losing my cool. And I stepped back from the conversation because I felt that inside myself, and I didn't really know why I was going there. I was calm, I was collected. I had done my meditation that day. I was in a good place. Araj is watching. Thanks for joining. Stacy's watching. Thank you for joining. I was in a good place. I was in a calm place, and I was having a calm discussion, and I felt myself get frustrated and get really heated and start to get upset in the conversation. And I really, at that point, took a step back and retreated from the conversation. And it took me a while to sit down and really think about it. I was really worked up about this conversation, and I sat back to think about it and think about why I allowed myself to get worked up. Why did I allow myself to go there? Why did I allow my energy to go there and be worked up in the conversation? And really, what it came down to, and what I found, is that I was sitting in judgment. I was sitting in judgment of the other person. I was having those thoughts and feelings in judgment of the other person that I was speaking with. And what I knew I needed to say, or what I knew I needed to, or I wanted to get through to that person, I didn't realize I was sitting in judgment before the conversation. Kalena is here. Thank you for watching. I didn't realize I was sitting in judgment of that person before I had the conversation. I knew the message that I wanted to get across to that person, and I knew what I was feeling about what was going on. But when I stepped back, I realized I was sitting in judgment. And the reason why I realized that is because I allowed my emotion. I allowed that frustration, and and that anger almost. I allowed myself to get heated in that conversation. And why did I put myself into that energy? Why did I do that to myself? because I was sitting in judgment. And why was I sitting in judgment? Because I was judging myself, not the other person. I was sitting in judgment because what I was saying to that other person was how I was feeling about myself. What I was relaying to that other person, and what the things that I was saying and the things that I was judging about that other person were about myself. I had those insecurities inside myself. What will people think of this? How will people react to this? And therefore, because I had those insecurities and those judgments on myself, inside of myself, and I was judging those things, and not necessarily judging myself for them, but wondering how other people would judge me for those things, I was sitting in judgment of the person in front of me that I was speaking with. And that brought me to a place of frustration, a place of being heated, not quite angry, but just starting to raise my voice and becoming upset about the situation and about what was going on. Let's see. HP is watching. Jeanette is here. Marissa is here. Thank you very much for joining. And so today we're talking about judgment and emotion. And when we're having a conversation, do we really recognize and do we really realize the emotion that's behind that conversation? Tom is watching. Thanks for joining, Tom. Do we really recognize that emotion? And do we really, do we step back and take stock of that before we're completely down the rabbit hole in that conversation, and we're way off somewhere else where we don't want to be, where we didn't intend to be? Hi, Marissa. Marissa says hi. Hello, my dear. I hope you're well tonight. So I myself found myself in that situation, and usually when we're in a conversation or we're in a place where we're expressing an emotion or we're expressing our views or our thoughts, there's emotion behind it. There's any kind of emotion. It could be happiness, it could be sadness, it could be judgment, it could be it could be frustration, it could be anger, but there's always an emotion behind what we're relaying in any conversation when we're having a conversation with someone. And when we feel ourselves getting heated, just like I felt myself getting heated and frustrated in that conversation, it's time to sit back and notice whether or not we're coming from a place of judgment or a place of gratitude. So I wasn't coming from a place of gratitude. I wasn't coming from a place of being happy for that person. When I truly am inside my heart happy for that person and happy for what they were doing, I wasn't coming from that place of happiness and from that place of love. I was coming from a place of judgment. And I sat with this one for a long time because I couldn't figure out why I was judging that person. And when I really sat with it and journaled it and got to the bottom of it, I came to the realization that the judgment was not my judgment of that person. It was judgment of myself and how people will judge me based on what was going on in the situation. And I'm glad that I stepped back from the situation and I didn't continue and I didn't say anything that I would regret. But it really took some discipline. It took some discipline and it took some knowing that I was becoming, that I was moving into that frustration and moving into that emotion and moving to a place where I didn't really want to be, moving to a place that wasn't my calm self, my loving self, moving to a place where I wasn't giving that love, and really stepping back and evaluating what was going on, why I was reacting that way, why I was letting my energy go to that place. And Marissa said, oh my God, projection is such a struggle. And it is. And I really think that we all find ourselves in that position, no matter where we are in our practices, in our meditations, in our journey, in our healing. We could be the most positive guru and be helping others and coaching others. We still always struggle with that, and that's another thing that's a daily practice. And we talk about a positive mindset being a daily practice and being something that you move yourself towards every single day and remind yourself of every single day. The same thing with projection and emotions and judgment and sitting in a place of judgment. And although we always all have the best intentions, and we feel love for the other person that we're speaking with, and we feel gratitude for them being in our lives, if we're not careful, we can move into those emotions and move into that place of judgment and really project our emotions onto someone else and what they're doing. And I mean, that brought me to a place where I didn't want to be, and that didn't feel comfortable, and it didn't align with me. It really brought me to feelings that weren't aligning with me. I really physically took a step back from the person I was speaking with, and almost felt like I needed to retreat from the conversation, and not because I didn't want to be having the conversation, but because I needed to evaluate why I was going down the rabbit hole, why I was moving into a place that wasn't in alignment with me, and why I was moving into that place of frustration and judgment, really. And while I was in it, I didn't realize it was judgment. I didn't realize that I was judging that other person. And I didn't really realize what my feelings were inside of me. And it really took stepping back and journaling and really reflecting on asking myself the question. When I say reflecting, I mean asking myself the question, what's going on here? What's the deeper emotion that's happening inside of me? Why was I questioning that? Why was I getting so upset about that situation? And why was I saying the things I was saying when I'm coming from a place of love towards that person, and I'm happy for that person, and I'm happy for where they are? Why was I moving from that place? Why was I judging them? Because I knew that I was judging. I knew I was sitting in a place of judgment, but how did I get there, and why was I there? And it really, what it came down to for me was an emotion. It was an emotion of feeling like people would judge me for what that person was doing, feeling like it didn't align with me, and I would be lumped in with what that person was doing. And I didn't want people to know that or people to not to know, but I didn't want people to see me in the same in this doing the same thing and being in the same position as that person. And that was a crazy thought, because I'm not in the same position as that person. I'm not doing the same thing as that person. But I had these feelings of judgment. How are people going to judge me when they see that person, or when they see that happening? Davis has joined us. Welcome, Davis. Thanks for joining. So I really had to take that step back, and I encourage all of you to do the same. I encourage all of you. We talk about positive mindset. We talk about gratitude and coming from a place of gratitude and love. We talk about practicing our gratitude every day. And I encourage you all to do the same thing. If you feel yourself in conversation with others, or in whatever it is you're doing in life, whether you're on the job, if you're at work, or you're dealing with something outside of work, some personal thing, I encourage you, if you find yourself moving outside of what's in alignment to you, and moving away with what resonates with you, and maybe even moving away from the message that you intended to give. I mean, we can be in a work situation as well, or any situation, and be intending to give a message and relay a message, and all of a sudden be in left field. So even if you find yourself moving away from the message that you intend to be relaying or be giving to someone, I encourage you to take a step back and really evaluate whether you're projecting your own emotions or your own judgment of yourself, or judgment that you feel someone else is going to judge on you. I encourage you to take that step back and really think about why you were moving out of alignment, or moving away from what your message was, and what your message was in love and happiness and in gratitude of that person. And I mean, even when we're talking to work colleagues, it doesn't have to be someone that we love and that's prominent in our lives. It could be just a work colleague. If you find yourself getting heated and moving out of alignment of what the message is that you're trying to get across to that colleague, why are you moving out of alignment? And I do the same thing at work. I was having a conversation with a colleague this morning, and felt the energy begin to go off somewhere where I wasn't expecting it to go, and I stopped and just said, you know what, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to step on any toes, and I'm not trying to move the conversation in that direction, so let's take a step back. And just that taking of a step back to evaluate, or am I moving in left field, and then am I moving away from the message that I'm trying to get across? It rectified everything. It brought it back in alignment, and it brought it back in line with the message that I was trying to get across, and everything was great. But it took that one little step back. So I encourage all of you to do that, to take that step back. And if it means taking a step back from the conversation, like I did this week, I did the same thing with this person that I was speaking with. I took that step back from the conversation and thought, okay, I need to step back and think about and evaluate this. So if it takes taking that step back from that conversation with that person, then I encourage you to do that. But I also encourage you to go back and revisit the conversation. Don't just take the step back, but I encourage you to take the step back, evaluate what your emotions are, evaluate whether you're projecting your emotions onto that person, or whether you're coming from a place of judgment instead of love and gratitude. And then go back to that conversation and continue it in that place that you're trying to be from, in that place of gratitude and in that place of love. So that is our message for today, friends. And it was weird. It was just, that's where I was today. I was in that place because I knew I had that conversation, and I had moved out of alignment myself. And really what that came down to, and why I had moved out of alignment, was because I was sitting in that place of judgment and had some emotion behind it, and an emotion behind that judgment. So I encourage you all to, take a look at that and see how your conversations go. See if your conversations change when you take a look at that and take that step back. So thank you very much for joining me tonight for Mat Chat. I am Melissa Ross, your mindset coach with Rise to Wellness. We are in the 30s somewhere. I think we're at maybe number 32, episode 32. I'm not sure what it is tonight. But thank you so much for watching, and I wish you all a wonderful night. I will see you back here Thursday night next week, back on my mat. Please do comment below if there's topics you'd like me to discuss, topics you'd like me to cover on Mat Chat, and I'd be more than happy to do so. And if you're watching the replay, put #replay. Marissa says thank you. You're welcome, Marissa. Please do put #replay if you're watching the replay later. And I wish you all a great night. Talk to you soon. Bye.